So good morning, everybody. Friday, May 31st. This is weekly public meeting number 44 of the Kwaai organization. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Kwaai Day. We've got a packed agenda today. I'm going to share the slide and I'll tell you more about it. We don't have Debbie today, so you're going to have to put up with me emceeing as well as being the man behind the curtain. So here we are. Let's go big or go home. Let's just grow that slide. There we go. Okay. So quick overview, updates on what's going on in Kwaai from me, and then we're going to have our lightning talk from Iain Henderson. Iain and I've been chatting over the last week, and he's very nervous about this talk, but he's going to give us an insight into intent casting, and Doc's going to be there to help him. Okay, and then we're going to have our regular work group updates, and then we'll talk a bit about the beta and all sorts. Look, the organization's growing at a fantastic rate. I looked this morning and we're at 418 members. We are more than doubling every quarter. So we are, hey, you're at the start. You're at the ground floor of a rocket ship. You know, this thing's taking off, and spread the word. Tell friends about it. It's growing organically. Yes, we are making a noise on LinkedIn, but we're not paying for any advertising. This is all organic growth, and it's yours. It's your organization. So we've come together because we feel passionate about a cause. We've got this vague angst that AI is heading in an unsafe direction, and if we don't do something about it, we're on the road, the fast track to dystopia. So Doc will talk, and he's posted quite eloquently on his channels about the difference between personal AI and personalized AI, the difference between the current state of AI, which is mainframe AI, where you run your AI in somebody else's cloud. In fact, you send them your data. And that's the crux of it, is AI is being used to monetize you better rather than to uplift you. We want AI, as Doc calls it, the people's AI. We want to build the people's AI. We don't know what it looks like yet. We think we've got some ideas, and we're prototyping it, and we're going to be beta testing it. But we're all together to figure out what it is. We've got some guiding principles. The guiding principles are that AI should be uplifting for individuals and not for corporations. So this is a non-profit. This is an altruistic intervention to turn around the monopolizing forces that are controlling AI at the moment. Okay, dropping off my soapbox and introducing our speaker, Iain Henderson. Iain, gosh, tell us about yourself, and I've got your deck here I can share as well.
Yeah, well, I've got that because I've made a couple of updates.
Oh, excellent.
I don't know that I'd characterize it as I'm nervous about the call, Reza, because I'm not by nature a nervous person.
Okay.
What I was explaining was I'm nervous that people think this subject is an easy one, right? Because as Doc and I will come on to, we have been trying to enable intent casting for at least 15 years, right? And we're not there yet. And many organizations have come and gone and spent a load of money trying to get there. So if I'm expressing any nerves, it was about, think this is great, we can now crack on and let's get on with this. So let's come back to that in a minute. I've just got 3 slides or so.
Iain, not everyone gets it. So look, you're the pioneer. You're leading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not everyone gets it.
That's good. My point is, I don't want people just to rush in and think, great, let's throw a load of money and time at this thing, because it's can you enable me to share screen, or
I will do that. Sorry, I should have. It HIJ, there we go.
I know some of you folks on the call already. Good to see you all again.
I've added you as co-host now, so you should be able to share your screen.
Yeah, I think I can see that. Oh, where's that going? Can you see that slide?
Here it comes. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Is that full screen for you guys? Or?
Yeah, I see it. It looks good.
It's good enough.
Yeah, I just don't know how I go back to the first one. So only 3 slides, and I'm here with my customer comments hat on more so than anyone else. Excuse me, as I mentioned, Doc and I and Joyce and Mary and Nitin and various others have been banging this drum as customer comments. When was it, Doc? 2011 or
13.
2013, and then Project VRM before then. And in London, we used to have this thing called the Buyer-Centric Commerce Forum, which was around about 2000 or so. So
yeah, that predates all of them. I should say that Ian's been at this longer than I have. I've been following his footsteps.
And we've always thought intent casting makes perfect sense. And we thought, okay, let's get on with it. And we tried that and it didn't work. And then we unpacked that and said, okay, what's the precursor for intent casting? Because there must be a precursor if it's not happening. And I think that's what we'll come on to in a moment. So let's dive in. So the way I see it, the most valuable type of data on the internet, I would contend, is intent signals. Intent can be about buying stuff, selling stuff, visiting something, recruiting someone, and many more, right? So it's a very, very broad subject. But are those signals working well? I mean, on the premise that advertising funds and fuels the internet, well, I don't really think it does. I think that premise has disappeared a few years back. I can't remember the last time I saw an advert, actually, other than on Facebook, right? Because everywhere else, I just don't see them because they're all blocked effectively. But the model is typically these signals are guessed at by the supply side, right? And I've spent most of my day job career on the supply side, effectively running big CRM systems for big companies, which really is about the advertising process, the marketing process, the sales process, and the customer service process. From the seller side. It just so happens that a long time back, I got the bug for actually, this would be a lot easier if you built capability on the customer side. So ever since then, I've had a foot in both camps. But I would say the current model is not working at all well. I did my first direct marketing campaign in 1988. Right, for a big DIY retailer, and I got 1% response, and I got 1% of 1% conversion, i.e. people buying stuff. And I did one for the Scottish Government about 6 months ago, and funnily enough, I got 1% response and 1% conversion to the course that I was essentially asking people to sign up for. So that therefore means a huge amount of guesswork and waste. As Doc as always, it's a good way to frame things. Right? If you get 1% response, that means you've sent 99 things that to varying degrees either didn't get seen at all or completely ignored, taking up time, using up carbon, etc. And then when you look at the conversion, it's even more wasted time and money. And as you know, in the advertising budget, the model has always been I don't know which half of my advertising budget works. Right? I would contend it's actually an awful lot less than half of it working. Right? It's the you're very lucky if you've got 10% of it working, and it's certainly not particularly accountable. But that warning at the bottom of the slide is how do we fix that properly, given that we've been trying, right? And we can, at some other point, we can look at some of the things that have been tried and didn't quite work out. But how I think we may have a chance. And personally, I is part of it. I don't think it's all of it. The slide essentially says, I think we need much richer data on the side of the individual, right? Whether you call that a pod, right, or a data vault, or a knowledge graph, or a whatever, filing cabinet, as I tend to call one I'm working on. So you need very rich data on the side of the individual, so rich that it's completely unparalleled And I typically think in terms of, if I was building data on a person, right, I would be lucky to have 300, 400 attributes that actually had any sort of robustness. If I'm building data for a person, right, you're up in the 7,000, 10,000 bracket. That's a completely different ball game, because the individual is by definition pulling all their various sectors together. So you need data under the control of the individuals. You need a schema and an ontology that essentially supports the point at which demand and supply intersect. Right now, you can get them from Google, you can get them from Interactive Advertising Bureau or various others. None of them get you beyond that 1% model. Google, if you're doing it well, can get you maybe 3% if you're being very good about it. But you need that thing that allows the translation from what person needs to what supply side has. I think the real innovation is going to come from signals released under contract rather than consent. So the current model of the internet is you take a box to say that you've signed terms and conditions, which you absolutely, definitely have not read. And then you get on with things. The reality is what's in those terms and conditions is not in your favor. It typically means your data has been sold out the back door. As you said, Reza, that's the current model of the internet. The work that's been done, Doc-e and others, in IEEE 7012, and it's taken us a while, but I think we're almost there, effectively allows us to replace consent with contract. And contract is a very important word, even if we prefer the word agreement. Contract is one of the 6 legal bases that's allowed under GDPR, and therefore most places, for the release of personal data. Consent is regarded as the high bar, and contract is lower than that, but that assumes contracts are written by the organization. The real innovation that we come up with here is actually the contracts are written from the individual perspective. So the user journey is something like there's various contracts. When you get to that point in the journey that says, oh, that's great, you want to do this thing, check this box to say you've read our terms and conditions. The individual at that point can say, actually, I don't like your terms and conditions very much. I would much rather use that contract over there, published on Customer Commons. And the idea is that becomes like Creative Commons. So as Creative Commons does for licenses for copyright, we plan to do the same on Customer Commons, where you can say, okay, this is an intent casting contract. Sign up for that. There's a human readable layer, there's a lawyer readable layer, a machine readable layer. You sign the contract, but you then have a much higher degree of protection for that data. Right? You have both parties get a signed contract. There's ideally an audit log that captures what data's flying around from where to where. The other assumption in 7012 is that both parties have an agent. Right? There's nobody sitting here typing in, oh, I want to buy a new piano, right? I want it in Edinburgh, blah, blah, blah. So I think there's mileage in 7012. We're not there yet. I suspect it might take another 6 months to get those things up and running. There's 13 draft contracts or agreements, 10 of which are about I want to buy this thing or I want to do this thing. And then there's 3 other ones that are more about internet processes. The first one is intent casting specifically, so it'll have its own dedicated contract. There's one for data altruism. I want to do good with my data. And there's one about I want to contribute my data to AI in its various guises. So watch this space. Doc, have you anything else to chip in on the what we've learned along the way?
No, that's very good. I think now this is, us talking. We've been working on this for a long time. I think P7012 could be really radical. I think it can. I think companies are going to welcome it. There's a, and Iain may have better numbers than I do on this, but like a third of all the websites of the world are WordPress, and most of them are not making money with advertising. Most of them, right now they're hiring TrustArc or one of those to put a consent notice on the front of their website they don't even need. In fact, there's nothing in the GDPR that said you had to put one of those notices on the front of a website, but a lot of lawyers out there with companies that wanted to sell something said that's what it said, and so that's why we suffer that shit. But we really don't need it. But P7012 could be really cool. It could just, we can operate on a much more equitable basis. Where it could play with Kwaai, I'm not sure, except that I think that having an intelligent agent is, a potentially big part of it. I'm looking for the graphic, one of the graphics. Let's see. I was gonna. Oh boy, there's a law of nature that says availability varies inversely with need. And the more you need it, the less you can find it. But let me just see if I can
I've
find.
added you as a co-host if you want to share a slide, Doc.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. I'll view this as icons and see if I can find the graphic I want. There's so many of them, I can't really. But basically, it's a visual that just basically visualizes what Iain just described. And there's an agent on one side, and there's an agent on the other. You have a, and I think that if we have an ability that is on our side that knows, who have I agreed to? What have I agreed? Who agreed to what and when and how long did that last? And there's just a lot of variables that could be thrown in there that a personal AI could be on top of. And I think there's a business in that. I mean, I think there are people on both the buy and the sell side. I think people might be willing to pay $15 a month to have their own intelligent agent make these deals for them on a ongoing basis and keep track of what's what.
So, Doc, we got a couple of questions.
Sure.
We got Lynn. I think your hand went up first, Lynn, and then Cam.
Sure.
And then what I suggest, this is a perfect topic to take into the next session, into the idea exchange session, which is 11 o'clock. And if someone can post the link to that, that'll be great. But Lynn, why don't you go first with your question?
Yeah, you actually, Doc, moved into it, which is, it sounds like you haven't built yet, but the goal is through these forums is to work with Kwaai to build the artificial agent that's managing what it sounds like over the years you've built out around intent casting. So it's not built yet, but that's your goal, is to make this more of an artificial agent that's managing both sides of the contracting, what I've agreed to process.
Well, the individual side, again, I don't think it has to be a really complicated thing. I mean, one of the nice things about personal AI versus the kind of, gigantic intergalactic large language model, based on all the data in the universe model, is that we just need to keep track of some stuff. I mean, it's the new spreadsheet, whatever that's going to be, right? Something that helps us make decisions based on real data. I mean, it could be, and it can start framing up, what real relationships are with companies. I mean, I was at another CVS today. I was impressed that CVS spends a ridiculous amount of money on promoting things that they don't even need to promote. There's the amount of money wasted on the sell side on marketing is just gigantic. And I think we have a real opportunity here to reframe the way business works around something that's much more like we enjoy in the physical world. You go into a store, you want something, you buy it, and you leave, and you don't necessarily have to leave a data trail behind. There's an informal understanding that you're not going to have a tracking beacon placed on you when you walk out of the Walmart. Now, if you have their app, I don't. I bought something there yesterday. I have a reasonable degree of faith that I wasn't followed in any way. How can we? I mean, I really think that personal AI can help us reduce the cognitive overhead of dealing with businesses in general. And we haven't touched that much on the intent casting side of this, but the intent casting is just basically we'll do the advertising. I need a stroller for twins downtown in the next 2 hours. Who's got it? And that's done in such a way that personal data about me beyond what's required for the transaction is not revealed. How do we manage that? Well, I think personal AI can do that.
So in this case,
Which
it really
one?
would be if Reza, you're creating in your world, and I'm new to the world, so hi everyone. It would be using the open source base of what Kwaai is building to create the personal assistant, one of which could be managing specifically contracts as it relates to something like intent casting, but it could be for a million purposes. But the idea of the personal AI,
exactly.
that's Kwaai.
Yeah.
Got it.
It could be I'm not sure that Kwaai needs to develop that. I mean, we need the operating system, and then other people can
Yeah,
develop
exactly.
whatever sits on
Understood.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I know
loads of
I don't
people already
want
building
to
these
manage
things.
that data.
What's that?
I'd like to get us back on schedule. Let's take one quick question, Cam, and or if you're going to yield, then we can.
Yeah, no, this is really quick, and I definitely don't want we don't need to discuss this here, but I wanted to raise the question for just everybody to start thinking about it. And this is a policy related issue. Does this mean then that the AI agents are granted a power of attorney to establish that contractual relationship at some point?
Well, the Air Canada lawsuit actually is a precedent there where they say, yes, your agent is a legal representative. That was from the business's point of view. So I think we should anticipate that that's probably going to be the likely case for your own personal assistant. So, but hey, I'm not a lawyer. Okay,
Right.
so let's get back on track. Work group updates. Sam, why don't you give us an update on where we are?
Sure thing. So I have been working away on the PyOS development. The main thing is quite a significant architectural shift from kind of the old way of doing web-based applications, which is synchronous WSGI, to asynchronous ASGI, which is more scalable and performant and so on. So that's been a pretty big shift, and I've been adding in additional data types. So I've got API documentation in there. We've got the channels in there now. I've got a full-fledged download manager. A big part of the problem is to like download few large files like models, or very many small files like your all of your data, right? All of your Word documents, all of your emails, and so on. So we now have a nice multi-threaded asynchronous download manager, which is built into the interface. I can probably actually almost.
I think you're a co-host.
I can probably show you that if it's running. It is, so I can share that window. So look, not a lot of difference from what you've seen before. We've got the ability, we can add and so that one elements have been removed. So it manages assets. It manages users now. It has your abilities here, including things like your models. I need to fix something there. When you start a model, it'll register itself as a channel, and then we've got this this download manager here, and then you can go in, and all of this is built on top of a well-documented API here. So it happens that we've got this React front end, but you could integrate it in with any other system, or you could do a mobile application, or it really is API first. And that API is enforced by the library that we're using called Connection, to make sure that what you send and very shortly what you receive will be compliant with this spec. So the next thing for me to do is to get the runner working in this asynchronous environment. So by the runner, I mean the thing that goes and starts everything everywhere, whether it's locally, so using Python subprocess, or whether it's remotely using things like Ansible and Terraform and so on. So some good progress there. The other thing that we've had this week, which is pretty good progress, is on the convergence, at least on the assistant side with Cyan and the Arcus Nexus guys and Balaji. We had a good call on that yesterday, and they have like a wizard, kind of a lot of what you saw there. Like upload your assets, choose your large language model, and but instead of having it in kind of an admin interface, a tabbed interface like we've got, they have a wizard type, step through interface. And because it's all API driven, we've started to have discussions about how you might build the wizard on top of this. Maybe there's like another tab we add called quick starts or recipes or wizards or something like this. But a lot of what they've got in there, and I'm not going to steal his thunder by showing the screenshots that they've been working on, but a lot of the capabilities that they're a lot of the steps that they're working into the beta, the Build-A-Bot beta, are things that we've not only considered but implemented in the OS, which for me is quite good validation that we've kind of two different threads have come to the same conclusion. So that's pretty good progress there. And then the other thing that I'm working on, I'm trying to get it accessible to people now. So you can go to pios.org and you can go to github.com/pi-os. And then it's at the point where you can actually download it and run it. It's not going to do anything for you just yet. That'll be a couple of days away. But I've merged the front end and back end in together. And then the next step is to wrap all of that up in like Electron or Pi installer or something like that, so that it's like one executable and you just download it and run it. So that'll make it a lot easier for people to download and run on whatever platform it is they want to use. I think that's about it. Or that's something I missed, Fraser?
No, that's good, and I'm keen to get us back on track. Lynn, I wonder if maybe you can hold the question for a second.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to have my hand up.
Very good. Okay,
thank you.
So you've all seen the front end. So what Sam showed you was what the back end looks like. The front end is obviously something a bit more personable that you can talk to, and it comes in different guises. You would actually be able to choose the representation of the image. You'd be able to choose the voice and choose the knowledge base that informs the bot. So that is what we'll be taking out into a beta program in Q3. So the beta is going to be running in academia, and we are asking universities and colleges to host the back end of the whole service and invite faculty and staff to build a bot. And the bot would be typically loaded up with their course curriculum material, and it'll be student facing. So we'll be basically implementing the virtual teacher's assistant. Or if the professor has got a large body of academic writing, like Bruce Schneier over here, we built a bot for him. It's using the same architecture, but now the knowledge base is his collection of writings. And so now the audience, the students, or whoever he releases it to, can query the bot about what would Bruce's opinion be on this thing. It might be a news article, it might be just a question they have. So these are important implementations of what's called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Our take on it is that you really need to own your own data and guard its privacy and control access to it, rather than sending that data up to the SaaS providers for them to further monetize you. Okay, so we've got so far 8 colleges, eight universities and colleges signed up. Look, some big hitters like Cornell Medical School signed up. Bruce Schneier is professor at Harvard. So those are some big hitters. We've got early discussions with some others, and the aim is to run in Q3, run the beta in Q3. Our beta objectives are to understand the usage of it, where people, what user interface paths, what user experience is working, what's not working, understand the cost performance of it. How does the cost scale? It's super important for us to get to a point where the cost scales much slower than the usage scales. Okay, and so look, that's what's going on. I'm gonna get us back on track. Hand over to Toby to give us an update on the marketing operations, which is really the hackathon update. Okay, so Toby, I'm going to stop sharing. You've got Shall I share your slides, or you got to?
Yes,
Okay.
I can share 'em.
Okay, let me stop presenting then. Okay, off you go.
Right. All right, good morning. So first update, sorry about the background noise if you guys hear it, but Pi Palooza logo we got from the designer, Emeka. Thank you, Emeka. And we're starting to propagate it out. So if you see somewhere that it needs to be updated, just ping me. We haven't published this kind of publicly. We're going to create a Git repo and put all this stuff in, so you other organizers will be able to get to it and use it, and with the brand guide, of course. So some pending stuff we're still working on. We're waiting for Emeka to get to us. They'll start rolling in. He's doing an update today, and we'll get more updates over the next few days. We did get the LinkedIn page up, so if you guys haven't saw the event LinkedIn page, please like it and share it. We got the website updated with the sponsors page, FAQ, and mentor page. So this is constantly going to be updated as well, but it was some of the requirements in order for us to get approved as an official startup weekend event, was to have that mentor kind of very prevalent front and center. So we got that done and we got approved. We did get a partnership with a group here in the Bay Area. It's a local meetup and an event series by this guy that works in Google. It's all about Gemini, so he calls it Gemini. The group's called Gemini Workshops. Peter, thanks Peter. Peter's actually gonna be our champion inside Google to host the Bay Area event at Google. We still have not gotten the official sign off, but he really is going to be our internal champion. We have Van Ripper, who's not at Google anymore, who's also our champion. So we've got 3 people champion this idea of hosting at Google. We did get the Pi Palooza Discord server up, so I put the link inside of the chat. If you guys have not joined it, please do. And as you can see, we've got it broken down by channels by city. So if you see your city in there, please join that city, and we're going to be pushing more updates to that constantly. So here's some other highlights. So we moved closer, like I said, to getting the event hosted at Google through Peter. Thank you, Peter. We did get confirmation from an ASU, that's Arizona State University location. It's like the Tom Ford something center. It has a capacity of 700. They're still waiting for us to give them a date, but they have totally agreed to host it for us and help drive awareness through the campus ecosystem. There's a company called BD out of Arizona. They want to sponsor that event, and they want to make sure that it's health themed. And then there's another partner there, AVNet. They're a hardware distributor, kind of like Arrow here in the Bay Area, and they want to drive hardware challenges. So I don't know if that's going to be across all events yet, but for sure for the event in Arizona. Houston event has been confirmed. We're looking for a university partner and haven't chosen a date yet, but if you are in the Houston area, please join the Houston channel in Discord. The startup weekend authorization was approved. Like I said, we did all the branding requirements, got that. So they're going to officially start pumping out the marketing and introducing to sponsors and stuff starting tomorrow, really. June 1st is my goal. MLH, Major League Hacking. I just cold called, before I scheduled a call, I got an email from the guy saying, hey, we can't sponsor Kwaai, sorry. Totally understand if you can't, if you want to cancel the meeting, but I just act like I never got the email, went on to the call, and I turned that frown upside down. So we now officially have Major League Hacking on board. We're going to be doing some cool shit with them, like the first ever free code camp hackathon with my boy Quincy. We're going to also connect the dots with them because literally it was Karsten. He had been hunting Karsten in Red Hat for months. And so Karsten asked me, hey, who's your guy at MLH? And I told him. So then Karsten hit him back and said, oh, great, you met Toby. So now that you're on board Pi, I'm going to go ahead and help you close that Red Hat deal. Right, so we're going to now go after Red Hat with MLH. So that was a great kind of turnaround. Feeling good. The guy is really pumped. Riza, you need to put the cherry on the top because he's a UK brother, right?
Okay.
So he's a Brit. So we'll go ahead and put the cherry on top.
Call me in.
Yep. I created a qualified speaker list. So any of our local events, there's a bunch of speakers on this document that you can choose from. And just reach out and invite these guys to come as speakers to the local events. So I'm sharing this with the local event organizers in all the markets. First Look Capital, thank you. Josh is going to be one of our LA judges, along with Musa. The Source Water in Arizona, they're definitely sponsoring the Arizona event. Hopefully we can get them on board for all of the events. But once again, thank you. That's a Musa introduction. Robert Benning, I don't know if Robert's on the call. Thank you, Robert. Robert is one of Riza's colleagues from the Web3 space. He's going to be in Austin, volunteer, help us on the ground. But he's also very well connected to the university, to UT Austin, which we both just so happen to have some kind of high level connections. So between me and Robert, we're pretty confident we'll be able to bring UT Austin on board. Let's see, go to my next. I think that's, the call to action is the same, everybody. We need to turn it up, right? So join the Discord group if you haven't already. Share or add Kwaai on your LinkedIn profile. I saw John Connor did that. Thank you, John. Repost content. Advisors, if you're an advisor, please book a call with me anytime. I'm on LinkedIn. To book a call with me is on my LinkedIn profile. If you can please outreach, we need more local partners, sponsors, mentors, attendees for all of the hackathons across all 13 markets. Mentors, we need lots and lots of mentors. We're partnered up with Musa with the Summer of Code program, where they're doing 3 hacker houses, one in the Bay Area, one in Arizona, and one in Atlanta. So any volunteers, any supporters, please make that connection. Anyone that has HBC connects, Musa needs some intros. So if you can, please make that intro or make them to me and I'll get it to Musa. Product owners, we still need some more product owners. Riza, how are we looking on that? We still need product owners?
We still need product owners. I mean, we've got a product management group that is I think is understaffed.
Okay, please, if you have that skill set and you're sitting here, let us give you some love and appreciate your skill and maybe help you get into that next awesome job, right? By putting the work in with us right here and having this great project. And all of these people in this community be your validators, right? So please just jump in. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate you. Graphic designers, we do need pixel pushers. I mean, literally, we need graphic designers. Everything so far has been Ameka, and I love it. I love you, Ameka. We appreciate you, but come on, we need some more pixel pushers. So I know you guys are out there. Bring those creative juices. Content, Doc and Carson are kind of heading that initiative. I'm part of it as well, but we all can tell our part of the Kwaai story because it's all unique and personal to us each, right? And so you can all contribute to the stories channel. So that's the end of the marketing update. Thank you. Appreciate everybody. And hand it back over to you, Lisa.
Toby, thanks so much. We now come to the section, and Doc, I'm gonna. I think just spare your coughing. because I know you're getting over a cough. Why don't we head on to the community, the member voices section, and
Okay.
and then
I have a little something for you. I think I can.
go ahead. Okay,
go through.
if your voice can take it, then
No, my voice can take it. I can always hit mute.
Sure.
Let me.
Why don't I stop presenting? You present
Okay,
your
thanks. Yeah, sure.
slide. Okay.
So this is some new stuff, a little bit new. Let's see, window. It's this one. Okay, and this is thinking just on my part at this stage. Dismiss the infinity mirror. I know I have to hit it on this. Do I have to hit it on this? Hit it on this one. So in marketing lore, there's this thing called positioning, which Al Ries and Jack Trout came up with back in the 1960s. And it's really brilliant stuff. And what it says is that you need to be in a place nobody else is, and everybody needs to understand that. And I think what we have for that is we're the only open source personal AI operating system. And I just want to put that out there because I think that's a one-liner to explain where we're coming from. I want to say a little bit about stories. Stories are things that people care about. They can't help caring about stories. All story has just three things: a character, problem, or conflict, and movement, which means that we're always, to be interesting, we have to be involved in some conflict. The struggle has to be clear. I think we're there. I think we're moving along on that. And I think to get to personal AI and what we're calling people's AI, we need three things, and we've got those. We've got open source development, we've got community, and we've got paths to BizDev. Now I want to punch out of that, and instead, I'm going to stop presenting for a second, and I'm going to start presenting something else, which is here. Let's see. Okay, I'll do it again, and in this case, the window is here. So this is just part of my own initiative here. There's a conflict, personal versus personalized AI. Everything we're getting right now from ChatGPT, Microsoft, Anthropic, Perplexity, all of them, it's all personalized. And it's not ours. It's not really personal. And there's a conflict between those. And ultimately it will be resolved, but it's where we are. So second thing is another tab here. I have to go to the tab. Okay, here. And I was just we had a little event here, and I was trying to explain what we're trying to do. And when I said what we're building is the people's AI, it totally clicked. People got it. Suddenly they got it. And I want to show you at the bottom of this, the prompt here was with Microsoft Copilot Designer, a vast field on which the ground spells the letters A and I with people on it having a good time. Now, there's a backstory here, which is that's the last place I looked. I'm paying ChatGPT. I'm not paying Microsoft. I am paying ChatGPT. And so I published this, a fun AI fail. This is what I went through to get that image. I said the same thing to ChatGPT, and here's what it gave me for AI, this. And then after that, I said, no, make them uppercase A and I, and it gave me this, right? And explain, here's an updated illustration with the uppercase letters A and I, both with serifs. There's no serifs. There are no letters. It's complete bullshit, you know? I said, those are not the letters A and I, and they lack serifs. And I said, do it again. It just gives you a big A, right, this time, you know? And then I said, better, but there's no A on the right. Then it gives me this, you know, and it goes on. And I tried more, and it gave me this, and then this, and then this one, and finally I said, you know, it's still not separate. This will be, I want an I with something next to it. And it gave me this because it has nothing to do with anything. And then I finally put quotes around it. And when I put quotes around it, it gave me almost an A and an I. I thought, almost there. I said, better. Now give me the same thing with a complete A. And then it says we're experiencing a heavy server load. You know, wait for 2 minutes. And then I tried again, and it gave me two big A's. And then it gave me an A and an I, but not exactly what I wanted. And it gave me both images. And then finally I tried one more time, and it gave me this, which is useless. And I got this, which is fine. I said, but I don't want a city around it. I want it out in the countryside. And it gave me that shit. So, and it kept going, right? And then I finally went to Microsoft Copilot, and it gave me these four, and I used the one on the bottom right. So that's where we are right now with personalized AI. So I'll stop sharing on that. I just wanted to share that little adventure. So
Thanks so much, Doc.
yeah.
I'm going to send us over to now to the community voices section. But first, I'd like to introduce a new member, Janet Corral. Janet, why don't you take the first slide and just introduce yourself and tell people who you are, what you do.
Sure. I'm a successful senior administrator at 4 different institutions in Canada and the US, but the job title I love the most is pedagogical troublemaker. I've done an open source learning management system that's used in multiple medical schools worldwide, and I'm here to be a troublemaker with you all in all the right ways in the AI universe, and I look forward to connecting.
Okay, so the reason I've introduced Janet is because we've had now a couple of conversations about Janet heading up the beta program. We need someone to manage that outreach to universities and colleges and just maintain that conversation. And so thanks so much, Janet, for stepping up to do that. And we're going to be next week introducing you to more of the other key players and trying to move that project along. We've got about a month of development to get our code ready to beta, but we're looking forward to a successful beta in Q3. Great. So in this section, hands up if you're new, and we'd like to hear from you. And you know what, if you don't.
So Janet, just before we move on from Janet, I'm a reformed sysadmin myself, and there was an interesting discussion the other day. I kind of left the field to go and focus on cloud computing. But there was an interesting discussion the other day about whether or not it would be a good idea to unleash LLMs on the command line to do kind of sysadmin tasks, right? And I guess there's use cases there. Can be interesting. Maybe you don't turn the temperature up too far and get kind of random outcomes. But I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts about that. And then also, of course, a big part of the beta program success is going to be about that sysadmin deployment requirements, drivers, all of that kind of stuff. So that's very helpful to have you involved in that.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks so much. Okay, so it looks like Jim's got his hand up. Jim, you're a new member.
Yep. My camera's not clicking on here. There we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Rudd. I'm the CIO and CISO of the Dana Foundation. So we do a lot of programmatic work around neuroscience, neuroethics, and eventually it's going to get into AI ethics. So this is a great slot to kind of share what we're finding on that side. And then I do a bunch of other things like advise startups, invest, venture partner, all that kind of great stuff. So thanks again for having me. This has been great so far. Looking forward to see what we can accomplish.
Fantastic. Jim, just be sure to sign up at Kwaai.ai because I don't see you on that, but great. Look forward to your participation. Thanks so much. Okay. So lots of new members, and I'm going to call on you if you don't put your thumb up, if you don't put your hand up. So Janet, during the week, I'm going to introduce you to the product management team as well as the key engineers that are involved in the organization. No more hands up. Kevin Triplett, why don't you, I know you're a new member, why don't you tell us about yourself? You might have spoken before as well, but okay, you'd need to unmute, Kevin.
Okay, hopefully the background noise is not too much. Yeah, I'm very interested in community connection, how AI can help us self-govern, as well as make sense of the world. My software background is in platforms and languages, and I also studied neural networks back in the 90s before they were quite ready for prime time. And so I'm really happy to see the status of the industry now.
Fantastic. Okay, we've had in this last month 100 new members. That's absolutely crazy, and that's great. The way we're doing this through organic word of mouth. People are recommending others. but there's one chap who's probably responsible for a large majority of our recent membership, and that's Barrett Booth. Barrett, perhaps you can say a word or two.
Yes, thanks, Reza. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just excited to be part of the team and the mission and to be able to contribute to our growth, and hope I can continue to add some key members for everybody.
I saw that you recruited a new guy that his speciality is in physics-informed neural networks. Is he going to be my new best friend? A guy called Chiron? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna have a couple of those guys come in.
Excellent. That's fantastic. So I also want to hear from new members that maybe are in their first month. I want you to tell us what the experience is and what we can do better to bring in members to the community. So maybe Daryl, you can tell us, because I know you joined in the month of May. Daryl,
hey.
yeah.
Yeah, so my experience has been really cool. I really love how, when the first meeting I was a part of, I already had a project, which wasn't what I was expecting. So I was really like, wow, I'm actually got something to do. My first meeting. So it was like, I really love that aspect of the community. And I'm still just getting started the project, kind of getting my bearings straight. But I really love that the sense of community, sense of engagement. Everyone can actually come in and actually they can find something to do. If they're not sure what they can do, they can find something to get involved with.
Tell everyone briefly what your project is.
Yeah, so my project is I'm doing some research on the Mamba architecture. It's a relatively new architecture that's been, I think it was actually invented last year. And my project is just to explore different variations of the Mamba architecture. Try to understand the pros and cons of that architecture, identify different use cases, and then maybe I think I'll probably do a talk on it maybe one of these days, maybe probably sometime in a month or two once I kind of get my head wrapped around it. And then eventually what we're working towards is actually building some special tools that we could use to build our own Mamba architecture that could be incorporated into the personal AI platform in Kwaai. So that's what we're working towards. So
fantastic. And my understanding, Mamba is more efficient than the existing neural network architectures, and I think its complexity scales by n log n.
Yeah,
n squared.
Especially for very long sequences of data, because with the current transformer architecture can scale. Because the transformer architecture has to keep a lot of these sequences before in order to generate any new sequences. It could be very expensive, pretty quadratic, and at certain points it can actually you can actually run out of memory. So the Mamba architecture is kind of an innovation on that on regular state space models that allow you the model to actually not only do that inferencing very efficiently, but also at the same time store some of the previous context that transformer architecture are really good at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, this is fantastic, and in line with our broad principles of bringing AI to the masses. And in order to do that, it needs to come out from the moats that exist around the big SaaS providers and capable of running on our hardware. So this is all in line with what we're doing. I'm going to pick on a few more people if you don't put your hand up. I saw Daniel. Daniel, you're not shy to talk. You made a comment there. Why don't you make that aloud? Daniel Wilson.
Oh, hey. Yeah. Oh, I was just backing up Daryl. Yeah.
Okay.
Mamba's a state space model. It's not transformer architecture. And Daryl's spot on 100%. I couldn't think of a better person to lead this endeavor. And Daryl, I think we've already connected on LinkedIn too as well. So just keep that going. But yeah, it's for particular things that really excel. And when you look at I'm not going to say multimodality so much as multi-model take on certain things, where you have a mixture of, say, oh, this one's good at summarizing. Okay. This one's good at the large language creative, higher compute. Okay. This one's good at this, that, or the other. But, this could be a situation where, what if this could qualify and graduate to something bigger and more core. But who knows? That's to be, seen. But it's an exciting avenue, and I've been learning about this since, I don't know, 8-9 months ago. And state space is decades old. Like, this is old now, but again, new opportunities to use it in different ways. So that's what I wanted to say.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Daniel. Okay, so look, we come into the final section here. I'm going to wrap up before we move on to our next meeting, which is the idea exchange meeting, where we hack on various ideas. My recommendation is that we actually we hack on intent casting. But look, we'll figure out the 3 topics we're going to hack on once we're in that meeting. So come to this next meeting. I've posted the link. If people can repost that, that'll also be great. So what are we doing? We are, we're still going. Meeting number 44. Kwaai is growing at a fantastic rate. I reported we broke through 400 members this week, and I think we're at 418 now. It's now the problem is actually onboarding new members, and the administration of the organization is now beyond the capabilities of a single person or 2 people. It needs more people to participate just in the community management. So I used to have one-on-one meetings with every individual, and that blew up my calendar. And so now I have office hours. It'll be great if you are experienced at Kwaai and you're a veteran, you're a senior. Come to the office hours so that you can introduce you can welcome the new members that joined last week. So we have this Monday office hour. If you want to participate in that, in fact, I'm asking you to participate. In fact, I might not even be able to be on the Monday one because I'm going to be at a conference in San Diego. So quick shout out for Kai Pham's conference, AI Digital Biology. That conference, we're going to be reporting on some of the research we've been doing in the area of AI digital biology. But so Cam's going to join. Thanks so much. Anybody else, that'll be great. Reach out to Debbie. She'll get you an invite. It's on Mondays. So the office hour is Mondays at 10 a.m. So this same slot. And it's welcoming new members and getting them onboarded, trying to figure out what their inclination is. Is it coding? Is it research? Is it policy? Is it just community building, marketing, graphics, product management? We need all of those skills. This is a broad church. It's welcoming all sorts of talents. We're all bound by the same sort of angst that AI is heading in an unsafe direction, and we feel that we want to do something about it rather than just being passive observers. So thank you all for joining. I appreciate every single one of you. This is a volunteer organization. You're giving up your free time, your tired hours, and we welcome it because we think that we're all doing that because we think that it's important, and we're going to make a difference. We're now at time. I'm gonna hop over to the next call, but I wish you all, if I don't speak to you today, I wish you all there we go. I wish you all a great weekend, and we'll connect next week. Keep well.
See you soon.